Okay, I wish this was a little bit more uplifting and a fun subject, but currently with what's going on in the world, currently with what's going on in our country, there's never been a better time to be more prepared. And I hate to break it to you, government's not really there to help you. I mean, you can look at what's going on with the hurricanes, FEMA, the government telling people to stay out of there, and your neighbors and local friends are the people that are actually going in there and helping people. And when I say the government, I mean the leadership. There's lots of people within the government, military, things that really want to help, but the leadership is at fault. And this year, being an election year, we're going to have our own issues with just that alone. There's going to be a lot of things happening, and a lot of strange weather happening that'll continue to happen. And there's no better time than now to be prepared. As a homesteader, you are a prepper. As an American, you should be a prepper. It's in our spirit, it's in our history. Look at the Great Depression. Everybody then was a prepper. It's not a bad word. It's not a negative thing to be prepared. It used to be a normal thing to be prepared. You would be self-reliant. You would just, prepare for when times are not good, because they were aplenty. But right now, we had in America, for the most people, life has been very good. And there's that, I'm going to botch this up, but there's that old saying, strong men create good times create, weak men or whatever, and then weak men create, hard times. Something like that. It's kind of like that. We've been living too easy for too long, and things are making it hard times right now. And then with the weird weather, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy nut, so I will not go too deep into that, but I've been tracking things for years, and it does not surprise me with the weird weather. Now is the time to start getting ready. You have time now. Think about our own personal, where we're located at. We're not affected currently, which is a good thing, but many are. But as I stated in some other videos on buying rural property, the first thing we did was study the floodplains. And this was eye-opening because we studied a lot, but we never thought of, well, if those floodplains that are nowhere near our house do flood, we were just thinking very small-minded, like, oh, our house will be okay. We didn't think about we would be cut off from pretty much everybody, and that's what's going on right now. The lucky people that are on the high ground are cut off, and acorns, sorry. It's still good to have a little bit of humor in life, and I don't know if you can hear in the background now. We do have the goats here. It's been a long week, and in general, when I plan to go out of town to take care of, to grab some more supplies, to grab animals and whatnot, I schedule ahead of time a video or two to give me a little cushion, because I like to keep a schedule, and I normally push out a video on Monday and Friday. So I apologize, this week was an overlanding garbage video. It was one that I was working on, and I needed something to upload. It was something I liked, and it was a fun little subject, but the timing was not good with what's going on. And normally this video would go out on Friday, but this video is going to go out today, because there's Friday video will probably be maybe about the goats and bringing things in, bringing the animals here, finishing the solar, which is done. We're hooked up, we're off the grid, but I've got a transfer switch so I can be on the grid, and I'm selling power back because we're making a lot of power. You can see the panels there. They are functioning right now. But it was an important video. Just those of you that are kind of on the fence of being prepared, I don't like to preach, but now is the time. It really is. I've been trying to tell people, friends, family, whatever, for a long time. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And I always look at, in the military, the old saying was, two is one is none. You always have a backup. So if you have one source of power, it's literally no source of power. You always need to have a backup on everything, at least two. So right now, you should consider and start planning on two sources of power, even if one's short term, two different sources of food, two different sources of shelter, and obviously the main one, two different sources of water. In the order of importance is, and then also security. There's reports in the hurricane areas of looting, and it may be bad people, but it may also be desperate people. And it's very hard for Americans to realize this, but most Americans have never gone without eating. Even our poor people have so many streams of ways to get food that in general, and I'm not saying there isn't, but the majority, that people have not seen real hunger. And I'm talking the majority. There's still people suffering, I know that, but I'm talking the mass majority of people. When you go to the ball game, I don't go to the ball games, but you go to the county fair or whatever, I would be willing to bet 99% people there have no problem getting food. The problem is most people have not seen real hunger, and there was a really good article going around on the internet. It may have originated from Venezuela or the Bosnian conflict, but it was called 9 Meals to Anarchy, and it was pretty much stating that the average modern Western person would go to straight up anarchy after missing 9 meals or 3 days. And it's believable, and it's eye-opening, and it scares you, and it sticks with you for life, and you always remember that. And once you see things like that, and then you come back to the regular world, and you don't experience not eating or not having water, these things that are just so regular to us. And right now, sadly, a good amount of Americans are seeing this and experiencing this, and it's not a good thing. It's also want to say, a lot of those people, how do you prepare for something when the flood just comes in and takes everything away? It's really hard. But currently, if you are in a floodplain, start thinking of I'm so against bugging out, the term bug out, like leaving your homestead, your home. But if you are in an area surrounded by floodplain, plan on bugging in, plan on having extra food, extra water, extra power. If you are in a floodplain, have a bug out plan, because as you have seen, there's not much you can do. Getting to the high ground, even being cut off, is better than being swept away in floodwaters. You need to have a plan, so start planning. Have road maps, alternative routes. When I just recently came back from hauling animals, our animals, we got our goats and our chickens here, and counting how many bridges over water I crossed. After 20, I just kind of lost track, and that's something to keep in mind, because you may not realize it, but every day you may cross bridges, and you're just not paying attention. It's not a big deal. It's just you cross that bridge every day, and then tomorrow it may not be possible, and then what? And I'll bring this up now, but it's not normal to think of bad things, but I always have. When I used to be big into mountaineering, I would look at a route, study the route, and I would just think of all the ways things could go wrong, so they wouldn't go wrong. And when I was in the military. It's the same thing. I would think of all the ways things would go wrong. It was just the way my brain works. And I would think of ways to prevent, to not do things a certain way. And in my previous job, my job was to, on a project for a global application of a product, was to think, theorize of every single way that product could fail, from as simple as an inconvenience to a death, and then try to prevent all of those issues. And it was, I enjoyed it. It's kind of weird, but it was challenging. And now I'm trying to instill that same methodology into prepping, homesteading, and it's almost a lifestyle, but it's being prepared and living here now. It's just a way of life because we really don't leave the property often. We don't need to. It's not that we don't want to, it's just we're comfortable here, but the way things are going though, it's, if you're not prepared, you need to be. Even just a little bit. I know money's a big thing right now, inflation. What do you do? There's the old saying too that I live by all the time. How do you eat an elephant? And it is one bite at a time. Food, everybody's like, well, that freeze-dried Mountain House, it's expensive. Well, a bag of rice is not. Starting a garden, it takes a little bit of time, but it's not expensive. Seeds are very cheap as of right now. Time, is a big thing, but there's canned goods, there's scratch and dent stores, there's all kinds of ways to find cheap food. Water, you can get water and store it in just about anything. And you can buy bottled water. You can, your glass jars, if you do canning, you can actually can water yourself and it'll be in there long-term, sealed. You can do, all sorts of things. And there's all different things, it gets a little expensive when you start looking into alternative power. I mean, solar was not cheap. It was more or less us prepaying our electric for the next, 10 years or so. But it gave us peace of mind. But there's smaller solar systems. There's generators. Now people are dumping gas generators for solar generators or solar systems. That means there's a lot of used gas generators on the market. You can usually find one pretty cheap. I sold one at a garage sale for $50. That would power, a refrigerator for a couple days. So, depending on how much gas you had, but it would do the job. So you could find things. There's living simpler, not relying on as much of all these things that we're used to is another method, because somebody mentioned that, I just heard this on a podcast I was just listening to, and if your inflation's getting higher or your income is decreasing, which mine has, if that's coming or retirement's coming near, one of the things we did was things that we normally used, toothpaste, deodorant, mouthwash, toilet paper, just things you need and you use often. Every week or so, buy an extra, of one thing, and just keep doing that. And then eventually you'll have enough stockpiled that those little expenses that you have to buy, you don't need to, because you have them stockpiled, and it's also a hedge against inflation. I have some, I'm assuming, toothpaste and mouth, things like that are probably doubled in cost right now, but I have a good supply of them. And it's just one of those things, a little bit over the, months or years, and it helps out. And the big problem we have right now is space. We don't have a lot of room, so you kind of got to keep it into a balance. You don't want to be a hoarder, which my family may question that on me, but I hate to do these, break my rhythm of videos, but I know I don't have a huge audience, but I have a great audience, and it seems like my audience is a good group of people, and they have community and they have family, and maybe they can share this message, because yeah, it's important. I mean, it's every thing I've ever, hobby-wise, whatever, it's I've always expected not to be rescued and prepared for self-rescue. Mountaineering, the military, everything, Military is a little different. We had a support system that we knew would rescue if needed. So that's not a good example, I guess. But mountaineering, backpacking, hiking, always had a plan for self-rescue. Off-roading, overlanding, always have recovery gear on board to self-rescue. Life in general, solar, canning, food supplies, water, we always have a plan of self-rescue. And then knowing your neighbors, knowing your community, and being ready to help them. It's really sad when it takes a disaster to get people to join together and help, and everybody to be so helpful, when in daily life you don't always see that. So I've been taking small steps to try to be helpful in the community, helpful to people I meet, helpful to strangers. One small step goes a long way. Maybe it's like a smile is contagious. Maybe being helpful to others is contagious, and hopefully it is. But yeah, this video just wanted to say, don't be expecting the government to help you. Yeah. Be ready. As I said in a different post, a different video, you got to prepare that you're going to live to an old age, or the world's going to end tomorrow. And right now, normal days are not so normal, and weather's strange. Everything is strange. There's all kinds of chatter on the internet of illegal immigrants that have been released from prisons, that are in training camps all over the country. Is it real? Who knows? There was a thing during World War II, in combat they would have columns, the first column, the second column, you had 4 columns in combat, but there was the 5th column, which was the propaganda and information. And that's kind of where we're at now. You look at FEMA and all this, and they're saying everything's okay, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. But then you're seeing reports on YouTube, which we're watching, independent news, Twitter, that not is all good. Things are not so good. So this is why you need to prepare. There's a lot of strange things going on in the world, and it's just, if anything, being a little bit prepared is a big peace of mind. So, because like everybody, I do not want survival type situations, to happen. I used to joke with friends the zombie apocalypse would, be interesting, but nobody would really want that. Just like civil wars, any kind of wars right now. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East. I mean, nobody wants that. Unfortunately, in the history of mankind, it is more common than times of peace, sadly. So that is one thing to keep in mind, that wartime is more common than peacetime in general, worldwide. Maybe not in America. I mean, America, we're pretty sheltered, but globally, historically, life has been rough for lots of people. And sometimes I feel like in America, we have blinders on and we don't realize all that's going on. So, but the one thing that is always good advice is to be prepared, at least on a small scale, and be ready. Don't live in fear, and don't run off to the mountains and hide, because that's not our case. We're still going to do hikes and have fun, see family, and do all the things, but on the same note, we're still going to be ready for anything. It's the best we can do. It's human nature. We want to live, we want to enjoy, but it's human nature to want to live and survive. So the old saying, never give up, but just keep your head in a swivel and be safe. And I wish, like I said, I didn't have to come on and just talk about stuff like this, but it's time to, if you're ever on the fence, it is time to at least prepare a little bit. And like I said, a little goes a long way, and I'm going to end it there because I can ramble on and on, but stay safe. God bless, because that's another thing. I know not everybody is religious, but if you are, strange topic for me, but it's, I guess, make your peace, if anything, yeah. So, stay safe, everybody, and I really, really enjoy communicating with all of you via the messages on the videos. I'm learning a lot. Like as stated before, I don't know everything, so some of you people that are way more knowledgeable than me, please post some comments. Give people some ideas on better ways to prepare in what may come, hopefully may not come, but and maybe there's some things that could be helpful for people that are in flood zones that really don't know what to do right now, that are not affected, but there may be another hurricane coming or whatnot. So yeah, stay safe.